Josh Hill. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario. I fight a 135-pound division, and my home gyms are Parabellum MMA and Tapo Training Center, Burlington. I got into mixed martial arts at the age about 21, so I started a little bit later than most do now. And I was at the gym working out, lifting weights. That's all I was doing, and I seen a grappling class going on. And I was always interested, and always been a fan of mixed martial arts. Always watched it, and I went over and tried a class, and I did pretty well for my first time. And I signed up the next day, and within about a month and a half, I'd had my first jiu-jitsu tournament, and I went in there and beat everybody pretty easily. And I thought this was something that came pretty naturally to me, and I really enjoyed it. So I kept going from there, and then within a year, I had my first pro fight. So I kind of skipped the amateur circuit, jumped right into pro, which could have went pretty bad, but fortunately it went well for me and kick-started my career. My support in this sport has been great, especially locally. I have a lot of, all my Hamilton family, my friends, fans, all come out and support me every time I fight in my hometown here. It's been amazing. I'm going to fight in Burlington here. It's pretty much my hometown, about 10-minute drive, so I expect the same thing. My family, when I first started, they were skeptical about it. They supported me no matter what, but they came to the fights, and they still come to every fight very, very nervous, but they're starting to get used to the routine now, and they understand, that I love it, and this is my passion, so they're all on board. Some of my main training partners are, I think, some of the best guys in the country. When I do train here, I train with guys like Mitch Gagnon, Lyndon Whitlock, Adrian Woolley, Jesse Ronson comes down. There's just so many good names that I've been training with for such a long time. Antonio Carvalho is a guy that I started training him when I first started, and I think he's one of the best 145-pounders in the world. And just guys like that kind of push me. And then when I'm not here, my last 3 training camps have been going down to Sacramento and training with Team Alpha Male there. So whenever I do go there, it's just a room full of beasts. Guys like Dillashaw and Faber and Benavidez and Mendez and all those guys. So I think I kind of get the best of both worlds. Going down there it's an amazing time, and I learn something every single time I go. And then when I come back here with my guys, they push me to the limits, and I think they prepare me well for all my fights. I think having a show here in Ontario is huge because it doesn't happen often. This sport, I think, is, there's so many fans in Ontario, and I think it's, like they said before, it's like the mecca of MMA in Canada for sure. And there's so many talented fighters all through Ontario, all through Canada, but especially Ontario. And most of them don't get a chance to showcase, in front of their hometown, home fans. And a lot of them don't get to fight that much as they would want to, because, there's just lack of shows having here. So having a show here, it's huge. It's huge for the fighters. It's huge for the fans. I think, I'm hoping this kind of snowballs and we can just have more and more fights. Like going down to California, I see there's fights like every single weekend, and there's chances for our fighters to showcase their skills all the time. So we don't really get that here. So I'm hoping it just kind of keeps going in that direction, and just the more shows, the better. The more promotions, the better for the fighters. It's huge. It's huge. I want all the fans to come out. If they don't come out and support the shows here, it's gonna push the sport further back in Ontario. It's already, in dire straits here in Ontario. It's kind of slowly fading away. When they did, legalize it here, it was like the big announcement, the big boom. Everybody was going crazy, and it looked like it was going to be, the spot to be, and it kind of went the other way. And so I'm really hoping fans really support this show. All come out. I want to sell out this place, sell as many tickets as possible, and put on some great fights so that we can, showcase it and bring it back and give, the fighters and the promoters something to, push for and have for the future. The best moment of my career so far, there's been a few things. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one. For my first pro fight, like I said, I jumped right into pro fighting. I didn't have any amateur experience, so that feeling for me, just going out there and winning, getting the knock of the night in your first fight, that was pretty crazy for me. Surreal experience. Making it the Ultimate Fighter, I grew up watching that show, so being on it myself was pretty cool to see how everything goes together and the experience and meeting so many different people. And then I'd have to say my fight for the World Series title against Marlon Moraes. Even though I came out the wrong end of a decision, I was happy with my performance. I went toe-to-toe with one of the best in the world right now, and I think I showcased and I silenced a lot of critics that thought I was just a wrestler wrestler, you know what I mean, and showcased all my skill set instead of just wrestling. The nickname Gentleman Josh Hill just kind of came about. I have a great uncle that was a professional wrestler back in the day. He wrestled in the WWE years and years ago, and his most famous role was Gentleman Jerry Valiant, and he was part of the Valiant Brothers. They were the tag team champs at one point. So I was just joking around with my uncle and my dad one day, and they kind of said you should go as Gentleman Josh Hill, and I kind of liked it, and it kind of stuck, and it just kind of went from there. Yeah, my routine kind of changes a little bit when I don't have a fight coming up. It's kind of a little bit easier on the body. I still train all year round. I don't just take months off at a time like some guys do. I always like to stay in shape. I take 1 week off after all my fights and don't do anything at all. Just kind of rest the body and heal up any injuries, and then I kind of slowly get back to it. And when I do have a fight coming up, it's the same thing. It's just ramped up. I'm usually training twice a day, about 6 days a week. And it's just nonstop, training. And like I said, I go down to California and kind of do half my training camp there and the other half here. And I think that's been working the best for me, and I'm going to continue to do that. This is Gentleman Josh Hill. Come check out my fight at Global Warriors 2, May 30th in Burlington Arena. It's going to be a good show. Come support Mixed Martial Arts in Ontario.